These are the 4 ridiculously scary truths that you need to know before moving to Tucson. Let's hit it! My name is Allie Garced. I am Allie the Agent on all social media. I am a real estate agent here to help you in your transition. So if you're moving to Tucson, Arizona, book a call using the link below. We want to help you. We've been doing this for years and we love the amount of bookings that we are getting because we're here to serve you. So what are these 4 ridiculously scary truths about moving to Tucson? The first one is poverty. I read that 46.6% of the population that lives in Tucson is currently living in poverty. Homelessness is big. The city of Tucson was getting sued for homelessness. I have lived in 8 to 10 different states. I have served active duty Air Force for a decade. I separated as a major in the Air Force. I have spent time deployed to multiple countries, and some of the streets do remind me a little bit of Afghanistan. I will not lie, but that is a scary truth that I have to bring up to you. Number 2 is the education system. Now, Tucson itself has one of the highest ratings, a couple of the highest ratings for the entire state of Arizona when it comes to schools, which is great. And you can find this all on niche.com and greatschools.org. But overall, when it comes to Arizona, in comparison to the other 50 states, take a guess as to where Arizona comes in on the list of 1 to 50, from number 1 being the best state to number 50 being the worst state in education. Take a guess. I want you to actually think about this. Okay, are you thinking of that number that you guessed? You came close. We are at 45. 45! Now, this list was taken from usnews.com, and they actually rated number 1 as Florida, which I don't know if I agree with that. I've never lived in Florida, but apparently you can't even say the word gay there, so I don't know how solid this list is, but I do know on any of the lists that I have done research on, it is never top 15 or even top 20. The third ridiculously scary truth is if you are a motorcycle rider or if your loved one is a motorcycle rider. Motorcycles are super popular here because the weather is beautiful, but the truth of that, the scary truth, is you don't need a helmet. So many people ride their motorcycles, crazy or not crazy, without a helmet. Which, why are you going to leave that chance to someone else, even if you are the most perfect driver ever? How are you going to put that in the fate of other people's hands, where we have a very, very high population of elderly that do not get tested? And I have been to the DMV and I have seen an elderly woman fail the test 3 times, the vision test. 3 times. She demanded that the DMV, or we call it here the MVD, that the MVD manager come over, and she pushed and bullied this MVD manager to the point where she won, and she walked out with still retaining her license. Why would you not wear a helmet? Anyway, we also now have lane sharing or lane splitting. I'm not really sure what it's called because I don't ride, but that's also scary. There are pros and cons to that. I get that. But the actual truth of this sub-bullet, or this bullet number 3 about the motorcycles, is that on the list of motorcycle deaths from 1 to 100 in the top cities, guess where Tucson falls? That's a pretty bad pun there. Number 9. Tucson is the 9th deadliest city. Not just motorcycle accidents, but motorcycle deaths. Tucson is number 9 in the nation when it comes to motorcycle deaths. That is scary. And maybe I should make a whole nother video as to why I think that is, but I will sum it up here. And I think that's because of, like I said, the population of people that are driving, the fact that there are no helmets required, and number 3 is the lights that we have. We have a lot of lagging green lights. So depending on where you're coming from, a lot of times, like where I lived in my other states in my past, you have the green indicator, the turn left now. Usually that's in the beginning, before the green light. It comes at the beginning is what I'm trying to say, as opposed to the end. So a lot of people will kind of go into that middle dead man zone, which don't do that, waiting for that green light to tell you, okay, go, but it never comes. So then sometimes they're just stuck out in the middle of the intersection and they just zoom past while this traffic has already gotten the green light to go, and then boom, collision. And overall, the fact that people just do not care about red lights here. Never hit the gas pedal as soon as you get the green light, because there will be people from the other side trying to beat it. Always give yourself 3 to 5 full seconds. I mean it. I've seen it. I see it almost every other day while driving. So I do think our lights are another problem with that, and probably a lot more too. But that is very scary, like having had, I mean, I'm still married, but having had a wife that used to ride. I have a wife that used to ride. I'll put it that way. She's still alive and healthy, sort of. I have a wife. I can't say this sentence. I have a wife that used to ride, and she stopped because it was so scary. Granted, she also stopped because she has a pretty bad neck injury, not from riding. But it's very, very scary. I have tailed behind her and I've been in the front of her bike while driving together. And every single time I drove with her, side, front, behind, every single time I've seen another car or a truck not notice her and start to swerve into her. And it is just scary. It's really scary. Now, the fourth scary truth, and again, this is not an all-encompassing list. I would love to hear what you consider a scary truth about moving to Tucson or living in Tucson is. But my fourth on this list is, depending on where you live, I have had personal experience where if you call the cops, say you get into a physical altercation, which is what I experienced. Well, I mean, it wasn't me, but I witnessed, rather, I should say witness, not experience. If you get into a physical altercation and you call the cops, they may not come for hours, for days. Unless you say you fear for your life or somebody has a weapon, then they might come. And I'm not talking about crazy parts of town. I'm talking about $1 million areas. I have seen it where there have been physical altercations and grown men fighting. One of them called the cops because one was getting beat up. And because he never said he saw a gun or he didn't think that the guy had a knife, the cops said, okay, we'll be there when we can. And they came out 2 days later. 2 days later. And again, as a real estate agent, I cannot say what area is good, what area is safe. So I can't steer. But it's crazy that I would have thought that the cops would come. So all in all, this last point is cops are very overworked here. If your car is stolen, it's gonna be up to you to go find it. If you got beat up, it's gonna be up to you. And it sucks to say this, but I mean, the cops just have so much more on their plate here. I'm not blaming the cops, by the way. I used to be a federal agent. I get the demand, but there is so much work that the cops do here that anything lower level, and not to say that it's not important, but anything lower level on their priority list takes very much so a backseat. So as I tell my clients, and it's in our checklist, as you are deciding which suburb, which area of town to move to, I highly suggest you call the local cop shop and ask them, if I were to call 911, what's the response rate? Why would you not want to know that? And not a lot of agents tell their clients this, but I'm telling you, whether or not you even use us, I hope that you do, because we do this every single day. I'm making these videos for you to help you decide which area of town, so that way we can help you purchase your property. And I put my money where my mouth is. I have purchased 6 properties here in Tucson. It's a great area for rental properties, but these are some scary truths that I think that everyone should know. And in no way was this steering. You can find all this information online, but to give you more of an upper hand is, as you start, defining what areas you want to look into, call the cops at each of those stations and ask them whatever you want to ask. What's the response rate? Are there any chances where you will not be able to come out as soon as I call you? What is that going to look like? And whatever else you should ask to make you feel comfortable. Because there are some things, actually, there are a lot of things that cops can say that real estate agents cannot. Because for us, it would be called steering, and we can't do that. But the cops, they don't care. So call them, ask them, and together use our information that we give you, the cops' information that they give you, so that way you can make sure that you are choosing a location that you feel safe in, because safety and feeling peace at home is priceless. Trust me, I know. I've lived in areas of town, not in Arizona, but in other countries too. But I've lived in other areas in this country, where I did not feel safe, and it was a good area. So there are crazies everywhere. Just do what you can to minimize it, and we will help you every single step of the way. So when you want to purchase a home, as soon as you know that you have a job here, or as soon as you get orders here, or even before you get orders, let's start the home buying process. Book a call using the link below, and we'll see you on the Zoom.